All right, guys. So it is time for another Tech Tuesday. I'm Matthew, the Body Chemist Mueller, reporting to you live from the center of the volume universe, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I'm here to share with you guys some of the stuff that we're doing that's exciting and kind of advances and things we're finding in technology. So I was just down in St. Louis presenting at Shutterfest. One of the classes we did down there is kind of AI every day. So the things we're using artificial intelligence in our daily actions at our studio, that is speeding up efficiency and giving us new stuff and kind of allowing us to work through some new options. So today I want to demo 3 AI tools that we're using in our imagery. I know last month, we went over ChatGPT and some of the things that we're using that for. And in this class today, I want to talk about 3 specific softwares that we're using, which involve Remove BG, Skylab, and we're going to talk about Portrait Pro, which actually just had a pretty exciting update. So I just want to kind of walk you guys through some of the technology that we're using and really exciting stuff. So years and years and years ago, when we were first trying to get into school photography, man, like it took us a long time to get a school that was willing to kind of give us that first shot. So those of you who've ever heard me speak about this before, it took me 6 years of hearing no before we got our first kind of charter school that gave us a shot. And one of the things that was really hard when I was getting into school photography was I felt like there was kind of a barrier of entry for certain things that the bigger guys were able to offer that we just simply couldn't. And at the time getting into it, one of the most obvious examples I had was background knockout. I did not have the wherewithal, the skill set, the ability to consistently train in the photographers to do great Kodachrome green screen knockouts. It just was not there for me, which is kind of embarrassing. I'm sure if we had really put all of our attention into it, we probably could have gotten something together. But it wasn't really in the cards for us at the start, which was frustrating because when we would have to get a school to go with us, they would have to give up the ability to have background knockouts and they would have to go with a static background. Now, thankfully, we had enough schools that gave us a shot at it at that rate or early on in our career that the technology evolved and made it very simple for us, but it was a big deal. So one of the tools that we use is Remove BG. And for those of you who, let me see where I can go here. Cinema layout, picture layout. I'm going to go to present. I'm going to go to share my screen. One of the things that we use Portrait Pro for is, or not Portrait Pro, Remove BG for is just our standard background knockouts. And it's a really cool and easy process that we use to go through and do our knockouts. So when we started doing photography, one of the things like we would learn is you could take an image and you could kind of go into Photoshop and open an image up, and you could go in and take and kind of do your cutouts on an image in Photoshop. And some people could get in there and kind of do the pen tool and really get in there, but it was hard to get a good cutout for us. And it wasn't really feasible for us to do it as a plugin or an action through Photoshop. It just was too time consuming. Nowadays, there's some really interesting stuff that they're doing with the subject select, and it's actually pretty dang good. It actually does a pretty good job of the hair, much better than it used to do. And honestly, in a few, probably not even a few years, probably not that long, the subject select tool and batching this all through Photoshop might be a viable solution. But we still run into issues specifically with the hair where it gets a little bit kind of funky in this. So we started using this software called Remove BG. And Remove BG is literally just a website. So you can go to removebg.com and upload your files in here. And to be honest with you, that's what we kind of started doing initially. And it worked okay. but it's like you dump a photo in here and all of a sudden it does its magic and poof, knocks it out. It's gone. Now, one of the things that we had, like I said, this was before the subject select was where it is, but it allowed us the ability to get our downloads like this. So now we can go in and see our downloads. Go check that image. We're able to get a high res one. You see those edges on the hair are much better. Not that weird kind of fuzzy drifting off product that we saw from the other ones. And Remove BG is pretty cool, but the other thing that was cool about Remove BG was it allowed us to take and go in to our images, and we could go in and go boom, 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 boom. We could actually bulk load in our images and output them to our desktop demo, remove BG. You can make a new folder, call it cutouts. Make a cutout folder in there, open it up, save it in there, close. And it actually allows you to just go boom, and it starts rolling through all of the cutouts for you instantaneously. It's super cool. I'm going to go back so I can see myself on. So boom, 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 boom. Cool things that you can do. You can go to, you can have it knocked out as a Photoshop file or as a PNG. And then you can even order it in different file sizes. But it's a neat software. And this software, when it first came out, this was the first one in market that we knew of. Like there are other options out there. I think Pure Photo might be one. I know Skylab does knockouts. I know there's a lot of options that are kind of out there now. But when this first came out, this was the first one that came to market for us. And it was like mind-blowing to me how great it was and the level of success we had with our yearbook photos. Now, the software, the AI has gotten much, much better over the years. But we did have some initial issues with sports work, specifically like hockey with pads, where we would have to do some fixes on it. But all in all, overall, it's been an incredibly powerful tool for us. One of the other times that, unfortunately, God, I hope none of you guys have to use it for this again. But we used to use it for like during COVID when we couldn't have kids get together for sports photos. This allowed us to go out and photograph children outside and create the virtual teams, and allowed us to have the images, the imagery to be compliant and to be safe, and make sure that we were able to keep working through that crazy ass COVID time. It's nuts. So that's one of the cool things that we're using. And one of my questions to you guys in the comments, I know we're not live, but I want you to comment. I want you to share with us, like, what are you using and why? For us, we have started with Remove BG, and honestly, it's been a pretty solid program. It's a really fast, or it's a really good platform for us. It does a quick knockout for us, and the bulk uploader and downloader has been huge, and that's kind of kept us where we were. There are some really interesting stuff we're going to share with you guys later on that you can see how it can be integrated into some other steps in your process. But I think we ordered last year something like 500,000 credits. So we buy in bulk, and when you're buying at that price point, it gets very, very, very affordable per credit. Not that everyone has to buy at that price point. They do have some monthly subscriptions as well. So go check out removebg.com or remove.bg. And the other one I want to talk to is Portrait Pro. So I don't know if anyone here has ever heard of Portrait Pro, but Portrait Pro has been around for a long time. Portrait Pro is a, sorry guys, just trying to navigate this while I am talking to you guys. Portrait Pro allows us, oops. I'm just going to go back and do the entire screen again. So Portrait Pro is AI that actually lives locally on your computer. So one of the things that's kind of cool about this is Portrait Pro allows us to retouch our images without sending them. They're natively on the computer. It kind of can reduce some of the inherent risks about making sure that your images are safe and not being shared elsewhere. But these are some of the images that we're doing, or some of the ways that we have used this is in retouching bulk stuff for sports posters, going in and retouching posters. And it's kind of cool. So what it does is it goes in and it allows you to help like shape the face of your subjects. Really cool. You can see on the left and the right, we got the before and after. One of the things that's kind of, you have to be aware of though, when it comes to retouching and editing, just playing it safe and making sure that you are not getting yourself in trouble, is when we would do, we actually took on a new account this year, and we got an email from the person who hired us, like really angry, because they sent us a screenshot of an Asian child that had went to school there, and they ordered and they had like opened up the eyes of the child. So there's, which is obviously not something that we would ever do. I was really happy to let them know that that was actually from their previous provider and not from us. And so we weren't on the hook. We weren't in trouble for anything. But retouching, you have to be aware of kind of some of the ethical and social trip falls that can happen if you retouch the wrong thing. Like, for example, I have a scar on my left arm. It's mine. I would be really upset if you retouched it off. And so retouching scars and, obviously like some of the things like changing facial features, really a slippery slope. With that said, this software by default has a facial sculpt on. I turn it off always. You can see what it does is it makes the face more symmetrical. And whether or not you like that look or you don't like that look, I would say that in general, you want to not be actually changing the facial structure of someone or going in and changing like, the actual essence of who they are. This software has some pretty incredible stuff though, to show you guys. Like, it allows us to go in and adjust the fade, remove grease if somebody's got a shiny face, depending on how much you want to add or soften their skin tones. You can sharpen facial, or you can sharpen some things. Here's some crazy stuff. Check this out. I've actually had a couple of shoots where an employee wasn't paying attention and a light actually may not have fired. With this software, we can actually go in and change our lighting profile on the subject. I'm sure you guys can see that. It's crazy. So we've had it before where a light didn't go off. So we'll bring in light on that side, even it out. Okay. Beyond even doing that, some of the even crazier stuff is you can go in and do makeup, which of course we would never do again, but you can add in lipstick, kind of fun. But the one thing that we have done is I had a mentor a long time ago taught me that the importance of getting good catch lights in an image. And as you can tell by this, the lights are a little bit too high on this subject. So we have catch lights in one eye that are okay, but in this, as I'm looking at the image on the left-hand side, it's really not there. This actually will allow you to go in and add catch lights and reposition them. So it gives them the look that you had your lighting correct. Now, one of the things that's kind of cool about this software, I shouldn't say one of the things, the thing that's so cool about the software is this really allows you to do a lot. You can make the hair shinier. You can kind of get in and do a lot of stuff. The problem is, to be honest with you, this doesn't really allow us to work at the speed that I would like to work at, because I can't go in and do this on all of my volume jobs one at a time. It just takes too long. So what we can do though with Portrait Pro that's pretty cool. Here, and I'll show you guys again. There's the before and the after. After, before, after. So that allows us to have a very simple process of retouching our images at a pretty high level pretty quickly. Some of the other things that you can do is you can go in and create your own kind of presets and create your own what works for you. And some of these are a little bit cheesy, but like, boom, it's kind of crazy. And so you can go in and do a lot of different things that allow you to kind of explore some creative edits and kind of some, for us, sometimes we have saved our butts by going in and doing that. But the part that I really do like to use it on is when we sell high school banners, like big, huge banners that are going out to everyone. I like to toss a light retouch on all of those images. I think they just come out a little bit nicer. We got to make sure again that we aren't working on that we aren't resculpting faces, but taking shine off and making sure that everyone looks nice is an easy way for us to do, especially in a situation like for us where we can run this passively on our batch stations without doing any actual work on it. So in our batch systems, we're going to go in, we're going to have it auto save when it's done. We are going to save to the subfolder named retouch. We're not going to rename them, but we have it saved as a JPEG, and it's actually going to try to identify the genders of all these people and the age, because it'll do a different retouch for someone very young and for a male and a female. Click OK, and it's off to the races, and you can see it's going in and searching all of these faces, and it has found our first image is a man, our second image is a man, our third image is a woman. This is all correct so far. And it has gone through and retouched for us 10 images in 14 seconds, which is pretty crazy. So what we can do with that now, as we go into our teachers and our retouch folder, this has produced us with a nicer image. And this is something we would provide to that we would do on our high school seniors at no charge. Okay. All right. Let me hop back here. I'm going to pause this for 1 minute and bring on our next guest. So just hang up for 1 second. All right, so the last segment of kind of AI every day that we're using, which is really cool, is Skylab. So the Rack family, TJ Rack, developed this software, and they started building it out for their personal use, and then they have since released it commercially. I can tell you guys personally, this saved my behind when we had massive retouching orders coming through our studio for our yearbook photos this year, and it's kind of been seamlessly integrated in with Blueprint. And so we use Got Photo for schools. We use Blueprint for sports. So I'm not as familiar with this entire process as our production lead, Spencer, is, but I brought on Drew from Image Quicks. He's going to share with us kind of how this whole integration works, because it's pretty flipping impressive. And I just want to show you guys some of this stuff. So welcome, Drew. And the crowd goes wild. Yeah. Drew's here. Yeah. So thanks for coming and joining us, Drew. I really do appreciate it. So this is you're my first guest on any Tech Tuesday ever. So this might garner you, Mount Rushmore status on the Tech Tuesday, Mountain of Fame. But thank you so much, and I appreciate you being in here, just because Blueprint in general, any of the softwares that you're going to deal with for e-commerce, whether it's Blueprint or Got Photo or Photo Day or Photo Merchant, they're all such big platforms. And to make sure, I hate going in and demoing some of the stuff when I don't know that I have the ultimate complete grasp on it. So I want to bring in an expert to show us some of the stuff and show some of the ways that we've been using it. So have at it, sir.
Thanks so much, friend. Happy to be here. And yeah, I'm thrilled to be able to talk about Blueprint and this integration that we've got with Skylab. And just to kind of highlight here, what I've got is I'm inside of a job in Blueprint. So if I jump into my subjects list, I've got all of my subject data. I've got my images in here. Now, when I'm ready to kick off post-production and I'm starting to review, cull, and kick off the integration with editing these images, all I have to do is open up my images tab here. It puts all of these in a nice grid, easily viewable to go through, call my images as I want. Now, I've already got them called. I'm ready to proceed with all of these images to Skylab for processing. It's super as easy as toggling over to edit.
I have a question, actually, Drew, before we get into that. So we talked about Remove BG. Remove BG is the software that we use to knock out backgrounds. That's what we've been using. It was the first to market that we ever knew. So that's what we've used for that. We kind of talked about that already. We talked about Portrait Pro as retouching that we can do like locally on our computers. But can you give me like a 10,000 foot view of what Skylab is and what role it should kind of be playing in my images? Like what does Skylab offer us for solutions?
Yeah, great question. Skylab is, machine or AI powered cloud retouching and image services. A lot of big words here. All this is really saying is this is AI leveraging machines that are going through and they are extracting images. They are doing your retouching, doing your color correction, all through one service, all through one platform. And to have that integrated with Blueprint makes that interoperability of servicing your images super easy. Previously, you'd have to go through a process of downloading images out of your application, bringing them into those separate apps that each do their own core service really well, and then replacing or bringing or importing that data back into your platform to start having those images ready for selling. But with Blueprint and with Skylab, all we have to do is choose the services that we want. So as we see here, I'm selecting that I want this service to apply to all images in my job. And then I can choose that I want to have this background extracted. I also want to have this retouched. Maybe I want to add in my color correction as well. I can even target services as well. So if I wanted to select a subset of images to only send through for glass glare removal or filter images for only braces removal, I have that complete control of what services I'm having applied or mix of services I'm having applied through one service or through one platform.
Awesome. Yeah. And the one thing that what really got me excited about Skylab personally is I don't want to use this word too flippantly, but I really think it's my job as a photographer to make sure every person that we photograph has a good image. Okay. And so there's some things that are there's certain situations where you're busy, you're rushed, it's a new employee, maybe it's a cramped location. Maybe there's other influences that happen, but glass glare is not something that I believe should appear on a professional photography image. And sometimes it's kind of inevitable. We train, we teach, it happens. And so when I got my very, very, very first school ever, it was 1,200 kids. I remember we released this job, and I had one mom who called me in and left me this scathing review about how unprofessional we were because we had a corner of a softbox present in her daughter's glasses. In reality, it wasn't that bad. But ever since that day, we have made it a point that when we do our images, when we release our galleries off of yearbook photos, glass glare is gone. It's not a thing, because we should be good enough photographers to remove it. And if we aren't, or to make sure it doesn't exist, and if we miss it, then it's kind of on me to fix it. And so we used to have this like manual process where we would go in and review our images and pull the ones that had glass glare issues, and we'd send them off. We used to use a company called Retouch Up. It would be manually fixed on every single image, and it would take a couple of days for us to do this and send it out. And it would cost me a chunk of money, but I kind of felt like it was my obligation. When we found out about the Skylab integration with their glass glare, I was like, oh my God, now I can just have it there. And it's like, does your kid have glass glare? Yep. Okay. And now I don't have to deal with it. And we're providing a product to our customers that I think meets the standard that we as professional photographers have to. I think we have to provide this. And this now eliminates that entire step of like me having to go through and review the images, me having to email it to another company, to hire a person to go in and fix it. And Portrait Pro, we didn't talk about it in their version 24. They released it as having a glass glare service. We're really excited to check it out. It's not very good compared to the Skylab one. It just kind of diffuses it, and there's still hints of it where the Skylab one actually replaces. But sorry, I went on a tangent about glass glare. But being able to show all this stuff, I think that was the thing that got me the most excited when I saw Skylab and the tech that they were bringing.
Yeah, no, I love that. And honestly, I think you hit on a really valuable point there too, is that like emailing of images or sending of images to a third party to have them, manually kind of go through these images or hire ahead to go through and apply that service to them. With Skylab and with the machine learning AI capabilities, there's a lot of great benefits there. The first is that it feels instant, right? So we try to quote at about 1,000 images for extraction alone, takes roughly 40 minutes. But it's designed in a way for the high volume industry to feel quick, to feel instant. And so when we start talking about, that instant deliverability of applying services to thousands of images as little as same day, or in some cases an hour, when we're talking about those 1,000 images and background extractions, that's really powerful for studios. And then the second piece of this is the machine AI behind Skylab. So as we consistently send various images of different size, of different caliber, of different scenarios, if you will, it's consistently learning from those experiences and improving so that images coming in behind it and images that you're sending in after are continuously taking advantage of that learning capabilities that the technology is doing on the back end. So yeah, no, just love the kind of fluidness of this and the evolving kind of piece or the learning aspect behind this as it continues. But excited to hear that it's been serving you well with those existing services. And to kind of showcase here, like just the process here, instead of having to go through and download those images and send them off to that third party, all I'm doing here is selecting all for all my images, or a certain list over on my right-hand side, a filter if I wanted to apply. I just choose my services that I want. I click send images. It gives me a little prompt indicating the cost and a human confirmation that I'm releasing these to Skylab for servicing. So all I have to do is click start there, and I can see that Skylab One Touch service will begin shortly. And now I can focus on other important tasks at hand at my studio. I can go through and actually maybe take a lunch break for once instead of having to spend all that time going through.
We could book a trip to Vegas.
Exactly, Brent. Exactly.
We could book a trip to Vegas and go do something fun.
Well, look at this. See, it's already over halfway completed for the background extraction and standard retouching. So hopefully you can book a trip in time. I mean, this is pretty speedy. And look at that. It's finished. So all I need to do is click sync. I'm downloading those versioned images. And now I can just toggle right back over to review mode. And look at that.
Holy crap.
Now, I always have access to the original images. So if I wanted to maybe increase this size a little bit, just to blow these up a little bit, see more of an image at a glance, and maybe switch back and forth between those original versions and the new versions, I always have that opportunity to do so. But I mean, Yeah, how clean is that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, we were doing a class on AI down in St. Louis. I just came back from it. And that's one of the things we were talking about is kind of the future where we think this is headed and who actually knows where it's going. But one of the things that I think is going to happen is this. I do believe the future for volume photography is kind of, as you said, this seamless integration where we're just going to be able to take our images, put it in there and go. Like, and it's just because there are aspects of my career that I get to be the creative artist, and I get to go in and I get to do different lighting techniques, and I get to do fun aggressive posing, and I get to go in and do, background gels and smoke and stuff like that. It's not every image, and that's not really what yearbook is meant to be. In yearbook, we kind of have a standard recipe, and our obligation is make sure we deliver that recipe 140,000 times every year. So having something that can help us out in that process of breaking down our images and getting them all to have this concise finished look this quickly is a pretty powerful tool.
I completely agree. And that really just speaks to the flexibility of Skylab and Blueprint, because we always have that opportunity to apply those services in bulk or in mass, saving us a majority of the time that this would previously have taken with other solutions. And then if we were to find those instances where something needs a little extra TLC, or we need to be a little bit more artistic with how a service is applied, then we always have that freedom of selecting the image, downloading and replacing outside of Blueprint. So yeah, it definitely just speaks to the flexibility of what options are available for a studio, but just the advantage of the Skylab service and having that applied to the majority of your images as quickly as possible, eliminating the need for the export, import, merge. I mean, I think it speaks for itself in terms of time saved.
Yeah, it's amazing. Awesome. Anything else you want to show us about Skylab or the Blueprint kind of integration? Anything seamless that we should know about?
Honestly, I think that this is it for now. But I know the team is really excited to further partner that relationship and cook up some more wonderful opportunities to just save studios time and money. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we have more to share, and hopefully that means a return visit back to your podcast.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you. The one thing I'm going to say about our Skylab, that when we first initially put it on, so we put it on, it's amazing. It's amazing because you can do so many things to try to make sure people understand what you're saying and how it's going to work, and understand what their options are. And I remember when I was like, we should take care of glass glare on every single kid's image. If there's ever any glass glare, we should take care of it. And so what we started doing was we had it in our shopping carts for all of our sports stuff. And it was like, do you want to order retouching? Now we charge for that. Do you want to order retouching? Yes or no? Okay. Do you want teeth whitening? Yes or no? We charge for that. Do you want brace removal? Yes or no? We charge for that. And that's like, do you have glass glare? We literally took a picture of glasses that had glare. And then we had, so we had that. And then we had, the glasses without glass glare. And so we're like, does your kid have glass glare? And it's a no charge. And I was amazed at how many people would click it when their kids don't even have glasses. They literally don't even have glasses on. And so then I'm like, what are we doing here, people? We're retouching out glass glare on stuff where it doesn't exist. So we did put a manual review process on our end. So when a parent does select the just because we don't charge for it doesn't mean we don't get charged for it, which is okay. But I was like, I'm not paying for this glass glare removal service if the kid doesn't even have glasses on. So that was one of the hiccups. But everything else has been amazing. So thanks again for chiming in, Drew. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Looking forward to it, friends. Take care.
Bye. All right, guys. So wrapping up another Tech Tuesday. I hope that we could show you guys some of the stuff that we're using, kind of some of the stuff that we're using within our businesses. Really, honestly, the stuff that we do at Kim & Mueller Photography, and the way that we are providing our images and our services to our clients. and the certain steps in our workflow. We're really kind of proud of what we've worked up. Now, to be honest with you, I'm sure that there are a lot of other options out there as well. And I'm sure that there's great options. These are just some of the services that we're using. If you guys want to go ahead and drop in the comments the things that you guys are using, whether there's a local AI that would compete head to head against like Portrait Pro. I know that there's Evoto and some of those other ones that are doing retouching services as well. I'm really interested in learning about them. But again, these are just some of the things that we're using and some of the things that have kind of progressed, allowed our studio, as we were the little guy and we've been growing. This allowed us to compete with the bigger guys faster than we would have been able to otherwise. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you all, and have a great week. And I will see you next month. Next month, we're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about AI culling. We're bringing on some people from Aftershoot to walk through the Aftershoot process and some of the ways that our studio has reduced our review time by 40% and our edit time by half on our big volume jobs. So later, skater.